Now please welcome Mr. Richard Cutting Miller, Executive Vice President of Resonance Consultancy, LLP, to share his ideas. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. I want to talk to you today about destinations. My firm is involved with destination development strategies and tourism master plans around the world. What we're concerned about is helping destinations understand the future. What do they have to do to prepare, to put in place infrastructure, to put in place programs and organizations and fundings to address visitors of the future? We're working in places like the city of Los Angeles. We're doing the tourism master plan for Los Angeles. Places like Vancouver, British Columbia, Tucson, Arizona, places that, not surprisingly, are very interested in understanding the potential for attracting Chinese visitors in the future and understanding what it takes to accommodate, to give them exceedingly terrific experiences and the activities they're looking for in the future. Sorry, it's not working. There we go. Nope. There we go. Of course, you heard a lot about this yesterday. The statistics are readily apparent. Tourism is the world's fastest growing industries. And it reminds me of my first trip to Beijing in 1991. I worked for an organization called the World Travel and Tourism Council. You may have heard of it. A group of chairmen and CEOs interested in understanding the impact of tourism on economies and its future growth. In 1991, I came to Beijing and traffic was a little bit different. There were more bicycles than automobiles on the road, but it was clear that we understood the impact of the future for China, and we were helping to focus government attention on developing the industry, but little did we know how big the outbound potential was for China tourism. This is a little bit of history in terms of international visitors from different regions of the world, and you can see it took us about, I don't know, a couple million years to reach 1 billion visitors traveling internationally around the world. It's only going to take us about 20 so years to double that. And half of that doubling is attributable to Chinese visitors traveling outbound. You've seen the statistic yesterday. Any country in the world would be excited to see double-digit growth for their visitor industry over these last few years. Looking at only 7 or 8% annualized growth for any country would be a dramatic prize for that country. And seeing that year after year for China has been an amazing feat. Now, as you've heard many times yesterday, China is now the largest outbound source of international travel around the world. And the implications for that are far and wide. In 2017, we were thinking about 145 million visitors, and by 2030, that's about 400 million visitors. But what does that really mean? What that means is, I don't know how many of you have been to the Louvre in Paris recently. Of course, the Mona Lisa is one of the big draws. Well, when you get to see the Mona Lisa, if you're lucky, there's about 20 or 30 people in front of you with their cameras, taking selfies, being in the space where the Mona Lisa is housed. It's in its own specific gallery. Well, think about what's going to happen in 10 years' time if we add another 250 million Chinese visitors and they're traveling around the world. We're taking those 20 or 30 people in front of you at the Louvre to see the Mona Lisa and probably adding another 50, 60, 70% people. How does the Louvre provide a terrific experience at the Mona Lisa at the same time as accommodating those additional visitors? Do they add more hours? Do they charge a fee extra to see the Mona Lisa? Do they take reservations for that sort of visit? How does a destination prepare itself for the future of 250 million new visitors from China alone? That's what keeps me up at night. I have clients in Los Angeles and Tucson trying to understand what we do and how we organize our spaces. What do we do to organize the management of those places so that people have a good experience, they enjoy it, and they don't go home disappointed? We joined together with our partners at China Luxury Advisors to conduct a research study, an online research with WeChat of about 3,000 Chinese outbound visitors, international visitors. We did this about a year ago. 71% of those visitors were under 36 years old, and 27% of those were in Gen X or later, over 37 years old. We divided up our visitor sample between Tier 1, Tier 2, and other cities in China, so we got a good sampling of who's doing what and how it comes out. This is what worries me. The new generation of visitors from China that are less than 35 years old are doing things different than their parents. They're doing them different than their older friends and their older family. They're exploring new things. They're trying new things. They're going different places for different reasons. I want to understand what they're doing so I can help my clients prepare for that 10, 15, 20 years out. First of all, we asked them where they wanted to go. And this is the top 15 visited destinations from the sample. First of all, Japan, Hong Kong, Korea, Thailand, Taiwan, Singapore, all Asia-Pacific destinations. They're comfortable going local. And we divided up the results between those who are millennials, under 36 years old, and those who are older in the Gen X generation. And you can see that the millennials are going to Japan more than the Gen X. They're going to Korea, they're going to Thailand, they're going to Taiwan more than their older friends and family. It gives you a little bit of understanding about the places that they're choosing. They want to stay closer to home. It's probably their first visit outside China, so they feel more comfortable in an Asia-Pacific environment. Their older friends and family are going a little bit further afield. They've had one or two visits outside the country before, and they're willing to explore. They're willing to try new things, so that's the difference. Then we asked them, if you had a dream vacation, what are the most desirable international destinations outside of Asia Pacific? Congratulations to my friends in Australia. You topped the list, followed by France, the United States, Italy, New Zealand, Germany, and Canada. What I think is interesting here is that the older generation is thinking about longer haul travel. They've been local. They've been to Asia Pacific destinations. They know how to travel. They're comfortable traveling. New environments don't scare them. So they're willing to go to longer destinations, longer haul destinations, and to try new things. They have more money to spend and more time to spend it. So they're going to Australia, or they're interested in going to Australia, the US, and Canada in a larger proportion. We asked them then, what are the key factors? What are your criteria for selecting a destination? And there's a very long list of those destination criteria. But it specifically tells you two things. One is how we market to these people. And then secondly, what do we need to deliver? What is the experience? What are the activities we need to deliver to Chinese outbound travelers to capitalize on their criteria and make sure we're performing well? Their key decision factor starts with safety and security. Frankly, this is the top answer for all destinations, all markets around the world, whether you're an American, whether you're a European, no matter what. This is your first criteria for selecting destinations, and it's no different for Chinese outbound travelers. But interesting enough, second and third place is the natural environment and the climate and weather. And you sort of think about a Chinese outbound visitor, you think, well, they're probably living in an urban environment. They're probably living in Beijing or Shanghai or Guangzhou in a very urban environment. And this is their chance to get outside, to reconnect with nature, to reconnect with their environment during their vacations. So it's at the top of the list. You'll see here, number 5 is the political climate. Well, the political climate in some countries, including my own, has been a little bit strange for the last couple of years. That is becoming a key criteria for the selection. And frankly, when we're selecting destinations around the world, it's an easy choice. I can go to the United States, I can go to Canada, I can go to the UK, I can go to Australia. Which is a more pleasant and easy choice? So political environment is now factoring into these decisions. Continuing down the list, it's surprising to see as you move down the list, shopping is further down the list than I would have expected. I think that's because that visitors with experience have gone places before, they've gone shopping, but if you live in Beijing, if you live in Shanghai or other places in China, frankly, you have lots of options at home. I just walked down the street last night and went to the shopping mall, and there's more shopping options in the shopping mall 2 blocks from here than where I live in New York. So it's not necessarily a key driver of criteria. But in all of these criteria, you see that they're mostly packed together. It's anywhere from 70% of the sample to 90% of the sample say that these are important criteria for them, which is telling me that as a destination, I need to have a full portfolio of experiences. I can't just be centered on outdoor experiences and forget about shopping. I can't just have cultural experiences and forget about the culinary. I have to have a well-rounded portfolio of activities and experiences if I want to engage with, if I want to attract a Chinese outbound international visitor. Then we asked them what their sources for travel inspiration was. First and second is online, the OTAs and the online travel forums. Even more so than number 3 and number 4, which is family and friends, which tells me that Chinese international visitors don't trust their family and friends as much as they trust the online sources. I don't know if that gets them in trouble or they just pretend like they're listening to their family, but anyway, this is what they're telling us in the research. So it's important to understand as a destination how I communicate to these potential clients, these potential visitors. And you'll see down at the bottom of the list, this is traditional tourism marketing. This is marketing 101. Online platforms, your website, TV commercials, magazine advertisements. That's what destinations have been doing for the last 20 or 30 years, which is great, but that's not what the Chinese are looking for. They're looking for more engagement. They're looking for information, reviews, and ratings on their online platforms. And these are the online platforms they're using. Congratulations to C-Trip. You're blowing the competition out of the water. But what you'll notice on this slide, if you're an American destination or a European destination, there's no TripAdvisor. There's no Expedia. There's no Travelocity. There's no Kayak. Those are the big machines that are driving tourism information, reviews, and ratings in the US and in Europe. Well, if you're a destination and that's where your focus is on your marketing and your communication with potential visitors, you're out of luck. You're not talking to the potential Chinese visitors that you're trying to attract. So you need to be thinking about where they are, where they're connected, and how they make their decisions. Their methods of booking, as you would expect, are very much the same. What's interesting here is that the younger generation is thinking about Airbnb. And I know everyone's thinking, oh, Airbnb, it's this amazing new platform, it's exploding everywhere. Well, it's more interesting to the younger visitors. They're spending more time doing research, understanding where this place is, what neighborhood this place is located in. It's not so much about Marriott or Hilton or Shangri-La or some of the major international brands. It's about diving deeper into this experience. What's a local experience mean to me? Do I want to be in the cool and trendy neighborhood, doing local things, my local coffee bar, etc.? Or do I want to be out in the country somewhere where it's nice and bucolic, where there are no hotels, but because that's the experience I want? So they're diving deeper into the research, and especially on the Airbnb side, and using that as a booking tool. We asked them about their accommodation preferences. And in the same way, the older generation, I think, is more comfortable with the big international brands. They're sticking with full-service hotels, limited service and economy hotels, and boutique hotels. It's more easy. It's easier for them to make a decision because a Marriott is a Marriott is a Marriott, whether it's London, Paris, and New York, or LA. You don't have to do a lot of work as long as you know, or probably a better example is the Ritz-Carlton. Ritz-Carlton is the same no matter where you go, or Four Seasons. You know what to expect. But down further on the list, you can see that the tables turn a little bit. As a younger visitor, you're willing to do more research. It's more about the experience than the place where you put your head at night on the bed. So they're willing to take the time and effort to understand what the difference is. Looking at the hotel amenities, number one, free internet Wi-Fi access. It's an American thing, it's a European thing. If you're not connected, you don't exist. Your friends don't know about your experience. They don't see your selfies and your pictures. This is the key criteria that has to be there. But what I think is important, I see here, is number 3, 4, and 5. Within walking distance of public transportation, walking distance to shopping and restaurants, and proximity to a must-see attraction. If I've been brought up, if I live in an urban environment, I probably don't own a car. A lot of millennials, at least in the United States now, don't own cars. They live in the city, they take an Uber, they take a cab, they take the train or the subway. It's probably the same situation here. So staying local, staying in a place where it's easy to get out and to experience the neighborhood, to experience the places and the things you want to see is high on the list. Secondly, mobile pay and union pay. I'm on Apple Pay. I can buy my groceries. I can buy a haircut. I've never bought a hotel night in the United States with a mobile payment system. And to realize that pretty much everything that a Chinese person can do here is on a mobile payment system, to me is like, wow, this is crazy. You guys are so advanced. We don't have that. A lot of destinations are figuring out that, if we want to attract a Chinese visitor, maybe we should accept union pay cards, or we should have automatic teller machines where you can get some cash out of the machine with the union pay cards. It's a eureka moment for a lot of Americans. We haven't thought about that before. Well, it's a key criteria for Chinese outbound visitors, so we better get our act together, otherwise we're going to be behind keeping going down the amenities list, you'll see that there's not a lot of other major issues. One thing I think is interesting, as you get farther down the list, language comes into play. And again, that's probably part of being an older generation where, you want to make sure that you have a menu, you have advice. But frankly, here's my translator right here. I can do everything on this phone. I can talk to my phone, ask Siri how to order for me, ask Siri to translate a sign that I'm looking at, and it happens. That's the new world. And frankly, most destinations in the United States, in Europe, haven't yet figured out that you don't need those services printed up and Xeroxed off. You just need to facilitate the technology that Chinese visitors are already using. Their vacation activities. First of all, this is a traditional list. What do you want to do, or what do you currently enjoy? And in the blue, what would you like to try? Sightseeing, dining, fun attractions, shopping, engaging with nature. That's the list every tourism visitor in the world wants to undertake. What's interesting about this list is the stuff at the bottom. These are the activities that a Chinese visitor currently undertakes. That's what, 13%, 11%, but more than 3 times that number wants to try it in the future. So if I'm a destination and I'm thinking about a Chinese visitor 10 years from now, I should be thinking about those activities and preparing as a destination to deliver those activities. It's not so much about the shopping. It's about figuring out how to talk to Chinese visitors and in some cases sell real estate. If I'm in Vancouver, BC, come see my condo. I'll sell you a condo. Same thing for the Gen X visitors. Again, it's looking at those opportunities for big growth. And destinations are so focused on today and now that they're missing the big picture of what we need to be doing, putting in place for the future. Whether it's nightlife, health and fitness, or watching live sports. I have a client in Los Angeles where the LA Clippers, they have more Chinese traffic to their website than they do other languages. I walked in their office and every website guy in their office was working on the Chinese website. It's like, wow, this is amazing. But they're right across from the Staples Center where they actually play basketball. You walk in there, not a Chinese sign in place. The announcements are made in English. I feel sorry for the Chinese visitor that wants to order a hot dog or a beer because the sign is in English. You can probably figure it out, but are we as a destination living up to the opportunity? Are we living up to the potential? Half of our business is Chinese. Why aren't we making it easy for them? We asked them about dream vacations. We gave them a very specific list of dream vacations to select from. And I think it's interesting, the top selection was Northern Lights, followed by the Grand Canyon and Yellowstone Park. This is nature. This is their opportunity to go outside of their current environment, to go outside of their urban living situation and explore nature. And then there's some luxury stuff that follows, like the QE2, a safari in Africa, hot air ballooning. These are all my choices too, so I'm probably Chinese, but shopping, a big deal, but it's changing. You can walk down the street in Beijing or Shanghai and you can get a Ferragamo tie. You can go to Hermes. You can go to Tiffany or Cartier. Why do I have to go to New York or Paris for that kind of stuff? I think what's happening is Chinese visitors, yes, that historically has been a driver, but it's becoming less and less so. First of all, the younger you are, the more focus is on souvenirs, clothing, jewelry, and gifts. The older you are, it's like, well, I brought back souvenirs for the last 3 trips. I'm going to do something for myself. I'm going to do some clothing, some accessories, something that I can't get. And I think the shopping is different. It's not the luxury goods that I can find over here at the Lufthansa Center. It's going to be something local and luxury. So I think there is movement in that regard. Mobile. Everywhere I go, people are on their phones, and the question is, what are you going to do with your phone on vacation? Millennials are doing WeChat by the hour on vacation. 32% told us that they're connected to their friends and family hourly on vacation. Even though you're lying at the beach, it's like, well, okay. Then daily, and then occasionally. So the reality is Chinese visitors do not want to be disconnected. They want to be connected through their WeChat, through researching destinations. They want to do travel guides and apps. They want to be connected, and they're doing so. Less so for the Gen X. It's still the same, but a little bit less so because the older you get, the more you realize, this is such a beautiful day. Let's go for a swim. Key trends, just to wrap it up here. I can't emphasize enough how big this is. You live in China, you've seen the dramatic change. Every time I come back to Beijing since 1991, so that's 20-some years, everything is bigger, faster, and taller. But what that means for outbound tourism is enormous. It means the world needs to change. Destinations outside of China, Paris, London, my client in Los Angeles has to figure this out. If you don't drive a car in China, why would you drive a car in Los Angeles? Well, if you go to Los Angeles, you can't get from Santa Monica to downtown to Universal Studio unless you are driving a car because the distances are so big. And frankly, you're just going to sit in traffic all day anyways. But destinations have to figure out how we manage this growing number of visitors, whether they're Chinese or otherwise. It's big business. There's an opportunity, an economic opportunity to capitalize on it, but it's going to take a lot of tourism management to make that happen. Rise of the independents. It wasn't so long ago, you're walking down the street in New York, and there's a lady, usually it's a lady with a flag and 20 people walking behind her, doing a tour of New York in Times Square. It's less and less so. You have so quickly adjusted to this new experience. And now the group is a family group. It's a grandmother, grandfather, the kids, and the grandkids. That's a very different situation. It's easy to talk to big group tour operators and to help them know and understand how to consume Midtown Manhattan and give them that advice. But it's a different thing to talk to a smaller family group. You need to be connected, whether it's on mobile devices or through their service providers or what have you. So change is happening. Call of the wild. There is a great opportunity for a lot of destinations in Europe, Africa, the Americas, to take advantage of the fact that Chinese visitors want to get out of this urban environment and go local. We can help make that happen, but a small town in Wyoming has a lot different needs. They have a lot different resources than Los Angeles or Vancouver or Seattle. But there's a great opportunity for them to tap into this desire for Chinese to have this natural experience. We have to make that happen. Next is active leisure. With the 2022 Winter Games coming up, every Chinese resident is going to be focused on winter. It's like, I want to learn how to ski. I want to learn how to ice skate. Very different. So there's an opportunity for the winter resorts in the US, in Europe, for Canada to tap into that and to engage with more active lifestyle Chinese visitors. It's becoming clear that even following the summer games that were here, Chinese people want to be more active and participate in outdoor activities. Mobile, mobile, mobile. This is my map. This is my translator. This is my tour guide. This is my connection to home. This is my camera. This is everything. As a destination, if I haven't taken advantage of all of those opportunities, I'm missing the boat. So we have to help destinations figure that out and put the tools in place to make that happen. The platforms, again, I can be terrific on TripAdvisor and Yelp and OpenTable in North America, but if I'm not on Ctrip, if I'm not on Fligly and all the others, then I'm missing the boat. So destinations have to get their act together. And then finally, shopping. The nature of shopping for Chinese visitors going abroad is changing. They've got the luxury, you have the luxury brands here, and making sure that there's something new, something different, something local, and helping them with that experience is clear. You can go to our website, residenceco.com, and download a copy for free. There's about, 70, 80 pages of all of this data, and I again apologize, it's only in English. But it helps helps destinations understand what is the opportunity, what do they need to do to be prepared for this next 10, 15, 20 years for this explosion of Chinese visitors. Thank you very much.